Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Victor Michael Vincent Jr. I am the reentry expert, and I would like to take this time to discuss a few of the things that we discussed yesterday on job interviews. I pretty spent most of my day in interviews, and there are just a couple of things I like you to think about when you're coming home and you're going through your job interviews. We all know that life is beautiful if you can find that dream job. One of the things that you want to stay from early in the interview was talking about salary. You don't want to make salary the first part of your conversation because employers are trying to figure you out. They're trying to figure out what you bring to the table and what you can do to put this company in a better situation. Salary is also important. However, you want to save that towards the interview, or you want to save that for when you get offered the job. Another thing that you don't want to do in a job interview is badmouth your current boss or former boss, because you have to remember that this person that you're interviewing with or for will sit there and wonder, will you badmouth them if you don't like the position that you have or the position they offer you, or if you don't like the company that you're working for. It just shows bad will to badmouth a former boss. Another thing that it does is it brings negativity into the job interview. You do not want to have any negativity in a job interview. You want to keep it all positive. Don't assume that you have the job that you're interviewing for. Never assume. Put your best forward and try the best you can to obtain this position, and give them as much information as they need to assess you that you are the person for this position. Don't go in there saying, I hate my current job. Because sometimes you'll go in an interview and they will say, what do you like about your current position, or what do you least like about your current position? Please don't bring anything negative into the interview process. You're trying to sell yourself. On a lot of job interviews, they ask you for your strengths and your weaknesses. One thing that most employers don't like to hear is, I don't have any weaknesses. No, you don't want to go in there with 1,001 weaknesses. However, it's good to bring up one weakness and then tell an example of how you worked on that weakness and have overcome that weakness, or in the process of overcoming that weakness. Don't ever ask a company about why their earnings dropped for that quarter, because you don't want to bring that negativity into the office. If anything, you go in and tell them how you feel as an individual. You could bring up their production. You could bring up the costs. You can make that company X amount of dollars with your input and your work habits. Another thing that you want to do is come straight in the office and start asking about vacation and can you work from home. Most companies are looking for somebody to come in. It's a desperate need to find somebody to fit a position to do the work. And the last thing you want to do is come in talking about taking time off and not being at work. You never say that you will regret it if you don't hire me. It just sounds kind of negative and it sounds kind of forceful. You want to avoid words like that. You want to avoid putting somebody in that type of situation. And one thing, usually at the end of a job interview, people will ask, do you have any questions? Have yourself a list of questions to ask that employer. As I said yesterday, you got to do your research on that company, and you have to find what they're looking for in an employee. And I'll give you a couple examples of that. Every once in a while, a company is looking for somebody special to fit a need. And that need could be, they just need somebody who will come in and do the job. You might get on a workforce with a whole bunch of employees that complain all day long, that bring down morale, that drag other employees' morale down. And the supervisor is just looking for somebody to come in, take heed to what he's saying, do what he's saying, and get the job done. Sometimes a company may need somebody with a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge. So you want to know what you want, because if you don't have that knowledge, then you need to do some studying and come into that interview and explain to the employer that you can do the job, that you don't need a lot of downtime. You come right in and have things running right out of the gate. Another thing that you don't want to do on a job interview is give too much information about your personal life. A lot of times employers have these set of questions, they're focused, they're trying to get the information they need to draw without you. They need to get that information from you. And a lot of times you start talking about your home life, your personal life, you tend to take the attention away from the job at hand. You take attention away from the job that you're trying to reach. Once again, I'm going to keep these blogs short because I know you have a busy day. I am Victor Michael Vincent Jr., and I am the reentry expert. Y'all have a blessed day. I will talk to y'all tomorrow. Thank you.